Hello, my name is Steve Jordans. I'm a professor of psychology from University of Toronto Scarborough, and I'm here to tell you about this course that I've created with a lot of help from Sergeant Dave Haynes, who's a wellness officer from 31 Division in Toronto. In fact, this course came about because Dave reached out to me asking if we could create a course specifically for police officers with the goal of helping them understand the stress they feel on a regular basis and to help them learn some strategies they can use to manage that stress. I am myself a cognitive psychologist. I've got a lot of research background in memory, attention, and consciousness, and I also do a lot of work in educational psychology. But what I'm really passionate about these days is teaching my students skills, and that'll be a core part of this course. You will certainly gain some information, but what we really want to do is to teach you some strategies you can use and to show you how, with practice, these strategies can become second nature. And so we really hope this course will leave you with some really concrete things you can use. Dave, by the way, is, as I mentioned, a wellness officer. He does a lot of work sort of building trust within marginalized communities here in Toronto. He, of course, assists his fellow officers when they are dealing with anxiety, but he also does a lot of work to create resources that can support officer mental health in general. And again, this video is largely created thanks to Dave kind of wanting a resource like this out there. And I've relied on Dave heavily throughout to ensure that the story that I'm telling is one that fits your context well. So he's my inside man, keeping me on track. So what are we actually hoping to teach you? I've got a little Yoda here in the corner, because if you think of Star Wars and the Jedi, the idea was, well, they would go under some intense training to learn how to sort of control their mind, but also potentially to learn to control the mind of others. That's a little of a stretch, but to some extent, that's what we're going to try to do here as well. I'm really first just going to explain where the stress comes from. What is this feeling you feel? And it just arises from our basic biology. It's a very old part of our brain that comes into play when stress is in our environment. I'm going to really kind of focus a little bit on police work and talk about the challenge you have, the to some extent, really unreasonable challenge you guys face every day with respect to managing the stress that comes as part of your job. But then we'll start getting into how you can actually do something about it. And we're going to sort of highlight three parts. The first is really learning to attend to your mind and body and to the level of stress you might be feeling at any given time. Becoming very mindful of where you're at any given time on that stress continuum. And then to the extent you might be more stressed than you would like, I'm going to tell you about how you can use something called guided relaxation to actually push the stress back by summoning relaxation. So this is one of the critical skills, in fact, the most critical skill you will learn in this course. We'll talk about that in a lot of detail. But I will also talk about how, when you have yourself kind of under control, you can maybe also bring other people's anxiety level down and stress level down through what we're going to call active listening. So I'll talk to you about the power of active listening in terms of calming a situation in general, and creating the kind of context where you can manage it better than you can if everybody's stressed out. Okay. And then finally, I am going to really, kind of highlight over and over again the importance of practicing these skills. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how practice can take the skill you've just learned about, or these skills you've just learned about, and turn them into second nature, make them part of who you are and how you react automatically. So that is our goal for this course. I really hope you give it a try, and I'm sure we're going to do everything we can to make sure it's something you find really useful and a positive benefit as you go into this highly stressful job of police enforcement. So thank you. I hope to see you in the course. Bye-bye.